some reason the stream crashed there. Sorry about that. So while you all are away, I'm just trying to figure out how this, without tearing up the flex on this fucking thing, to get these speaker assemblies out. Like, there's a flex that's glued in between the speaker. So as you can see, it's glued in between the speaker and the frame. And I'm trying to separate the two without ripping it, because I don't want to have to buy another cable. But it looks, I don't know, if I rip it, I mean, I'll buy another one, it's not a big deal, but this is stupid. Who at Apple was like, this is a fucking great idea, just glue this on top of this flex cable. Anthony, sorry if I break your cable, I might have to buy you another one. This is fucking retarded. I'm looking at the iFixit teardown videos, and they showed this speaker assembly sitting above this cable, and the cable's still stuck in the frame. I'm back. Is it back on? Should be back on. So I'm trying to figure out how to get this out without ripping this cable. I got it separated enough, maybe I can get my plastic fish down in here. This is a fucking nightmare. I guess this is where it kind of separates here. Can't tell. Oh, there we go. Got that part all loose. For the most part, it's loose there. Now I guess I gotta go down all this side too and do the same thing. They glued it even the fucking shit that plugs into the flexes on the other side. Like, what was not good enough? Well, I just put a hole in that fucking cable, whatever it was. More than likely front camera. Trying to press it down, it just ripped. Anthony, oh, you have front camera evidently. Oh my god, this is retarded. Jesus Christ. I mean, look how hard that's stuck down. That's fucking ridiculous. And I gotta be careful, because down here at the end are the speaker pins where it makes contact. I don't want to break the contacts on the speaker assembly. I don't know how else I'm going to get in here though. Alright, I think it's coming free now. Alright. I'm 100% certain I put a hole in the front camera cable. More than likely is what it was. We'll see here in a second once I get this thing out of here. Oh, I didn't damage the connector there. No, what was it? It is one of the ambient light sensors that put a hole in the cable. So I have to order that. I mean, that's ridiculous. Look at that. That whole connector here. That's where I put the hole in it right there. I mean, it might work. I don't know. Oh, look at that. It just came right off the fucking thing. I just lifted the cable up and the whole connector came off. I gotta solder that back on. What the fuck, Apple? There's my hole. Right there. What the fuck is with the pins? I didn't even touch this thing. Whatever. Well, the front camera's okay. It's just plugged in. That was fucking annoying. It's part of it. If it wasn't, like, if this speaker assembly, it has It has 4 screws that run across the top of this thing. Look at that. That's more than enough to hold this fucking speaker assembly in. But no, we're gonna run 2 layers of tape all the way across the bottom of this fucking thing and stick it down on top of flux cables. I'm not worried about the FPC. That's an easy fix. It's just I gotta replace that cable now. I'm gonna have to find it. But like I said, I think our buddies in Nashville will have parts for this. They always have like a million fucking iPads down there. It's just more annoying that I even have to do this to start with, because Apple wants to save a few cents and not put a screw in an iPad. Instead, we're going to use some double-sided tape. And we're going to stick this down inside the frame. Let's see. Okay. Now let's see if I can get the board out of here now. With this fucked up flex and everything. What's up, Mr. Henry there? How you doing, sir? I got my silly scope here now. It's all silly. Alright, we got the board out. Let's see here. So we'll need this piece right here. It does have that top flex. We'll need to find that piece. If not, we might replace the whole cable. Cable's just got solder points, just like a charge port on the back. But let's look at our main connector here, and there's our damage. So you can actually see these are all supposed to sit out like this, and all 3 of these are jammed back. Let me see if this connector is the same as the air. If not, I'll have to grab one of these too, if I can get the backing off without destroying it too much. Fuck it, I'm just going to captain tape it. This stuff is terrible. Okay, so this is similar to the air in the way this is made. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to snag these pins from another motherboard, and I'll show you how I do that. And this is where low melt solder becomes really important. This is why you want to have low melt solder around when these type of situations come up. You're going to want to be able to desolder ports like this that have a lot of fiberglass reinforced plastic in them. This is fiberglass reinforced plastic, so it's tougher than just normal plastic. It can stand up to a little heat, but these are more prone to melting still, even at temperatures that will melt this solder. So we're going to want to use a low melt to get that down to temp. You're in Paducah. Who's your buddy? There's a company in Nashville called Nashville Wireless, and we work with them quite a bit. They're really good guys. If I ever need parts, they tend to have pretty much everything and anything. So they're a great resource to have, and I think they appreciate what we do too. So kind of play off each other. So we're going to desolder this port first, and I don't have a whole lot of low melt left, but scope working all right? Yeah, it's working fine. It took me a minute to realize that the trigger has a 10x or 1x on it, and I kept like reading stuff. I was like, why the fuck is this saying 300 volts? I was like, this is not 300 volts. Alright, so I'm going to take my big iron. Actually, I'm going to do nothing because my tweezers keep freaking the fuck out. Wake up. Wake up. Thank you. I'm taking my large iron. I want a lot of thermal conductivity because some of these are ground, and it's going to take quite a bit to get them off. but I'm just going to rub in this low melt. I want this low melt to mix in really well with the solder that's there. Just mixing the alloys together. What this is going to do, it's going to lower the melting temperature of the solder that's already on the board. I'm going to add a little bit more because we want to displace as much of this lead-free solder as we can with the low melt. Just hold it there for a second, let it really get down in there. Same with these. You can actually see it, it'll start boiling the flux on the pin because the pin's getting so hot. And bridging these together with low melt is actually a good thing, because what that's going to do is it's going to transfer heat across all these pins at the same time and allow you to pull this stuff out. And if you look, I'll take my tweezers, I'm not touching this, look, it's still liquid. It will stay liquid for a while. Okay, so with that still liquid, we should have enough there that we can take this and we can go across these pins, and this port will come out. And we'll do this without damaging anything nearby. There you go. So see that? Our port came right out. I didn't have to use any hot air. And now we have access to all these pins. We can take these out. These just sit down in this connector. If you pull them up, you'll see they come right out. See if I can get this one to start. Come on. I know you all come out of here. I've replaced you before. Can't grab shit with my tweezers. So see? It comes right out. That's all the pin is. Just a piece of metal. It's got the solder point on this end, it's got the contact end on this end, and it's got a test point part. If you look up here, you can actually see through, you can test the actual connector. So we're going to replace two of these that are bent badly. This one's okay. That one over there might have worked, but I don't like see, that just breaks off as soon as you try to bend it back. The metal fatigues so badly from that initial bend, it's just not good to try to put it back in. And I'll show you the slick little way to put these in, because the plastic is kind of formed around the pin when they put it in, and you can use your iron to kind of melt them right back into place. Okay, so we got our two bad pins out of the connector. Now I need to scavenge one for another iPad. So we're going to look through our stack of boards here. As you can see, this one I had already scavenged off. That's an iPad Air. And we've got another Air here. Actually, this is a mini. So this mini board, is this a mini? No, that's an Air. Air 1 here. So the iPad Air 1, if we look at the pins on the Air 1, they're identical pins. They're the exact same. The connector is even the same. The pin count is different. So this one has more data lines that go to the battery. This one has 3. This one has 5. So we're just going to take this connector off. And I'm not super worried about this one, so I'm just going to use hot air to take this one off. I don't need to waste more low melt scavenging this connector, because I'm not really worried if I burn the plastic, because all I'm aiming for here is I just want the pins out of it. So I'm going to set it up off the desk. I'm going to add some flux, and we may not even burn it that badly, but it's still going to burn some. That reinforced fiberglass plastic is just, it can't stand up to a whole lot of heat at these working temperatures. If I took my time and I heated this up like really slowly like they do from the factory, I could take it off without burning it, but my concern here is I want my pins. I don't give a shit about this connector. So I'm watching these ground pads to see when they start to melt. I may put some leaded on here if I don't see any movement here shortly. Okay, they're starting to melt. That one did at least. Turned liquid for a second. Yeah, it's liquid on that side. Okay, this one's turning liquid. This side's turning liquid, and there we go. So we got that out. Connector lives matter? No, fuck them all. So as you can see, there's some heat damage here from where I took it off, but we weren't really concerned with that. We more were concerned with our pins. So I need 2 of these. So I'm going to work these pins out of here without hopefully bending them too much. I don't want to put too much stress on them. Mr. Daniels, how are you doing, sir? Good to see you up in this bright early morning. And if these aren't coming out very easily, since I don't give a shit about these, I might just break the plastic up. I don't want to bend these too much. That one kind of flexed a little bit. But as long as it'll come out with too much more flexing, we should be okay. There we go. So there's our harvested first pin. And then we're going to do the same thing here. And there's our harvested second pin. So we have 2 good pins there. Now we're just going to take them over here, and this one's kind of bent, but it is in the right place. It should be fine. And after I get this done and solder back on, I'm probably going to end it there. That way I can order that flex. Well, not order it, but see if they have that flex. If I have to order it, I'll go ahead and order it, but I'll see if they have that flex down in Nashville, and then I'll get that up here hopefully in a day or 2. Usually a day. Alright, so what I want to do is these are, see how high it's sitting right now? It's because this pin's not fully sunken down into the reinforced plastic where it should be. So I'll show you the trick that you can use with your iron to put those in place. And I think I lost one. Did I lose you? You're gone! Alright, I'll snag the other one out of here. I just flipped that off my desk. I don't feel like finding it. I just don't want to lose this one. I don't want to take another connector off. Human spawn. Cassidy's at home. My human spawn. Hopefully being good. If not, give him a whooping. Not really. He's a baby. Okay. So I got my other pin sitting in there. But again, this one's not sitting all the way. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take my tweezers and I'm going to set it to about 450. It's about as low as it'll go. It's freaking out again. Shut up. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to touch this right on the middle, and what you'll see will happen. I might have to turn the heat up a little more. I have to turn the heat up just a little bit. It's not quite hot enough. We'll go up to 550 degrees Celsius on these. There we go. I think that's going to work. Yep. There it goes. It's sinking. Okay. Now we can check and see. Are those the same height? Alright, it's still a little higher. These pins actually might be a little bit taller because that looks pretty even as far as flushness here. It just might be a taller pin. No big deal. That one went down a little more. Okay, let's check it. Yeah, those pins are just a little bit taller, but that's okay. They are in position, and they should now make good contact with that board. Yep, so this should be good. And what keeps the tension here is where you solder these. It makes these springy. It's not going to be right now because there's not much there to hold it in place, but so now we want to clean up our mess over here. Fumes build strong brainstem bones. I got brainstem bones. Alright, I'm going to grab my wick. This is going to saturate my wick quickly. I wish I had a larger wick for these situations, but that's fine. I'll just hold it there for a second. We'll have to go a couple passes to get all this up. It saturates the wick very quickly since there's so much solder there. And this is a fairly thin wick. This is what I use on the iPhone, so okay. All our holes are nice and clean now. We'll scrub this down. Actually, I might use a Q-tip to kind of keep down on how much I'm splashing it everywhere. The fur kids woke me up every damn hour, but hey, you love them. You've got your own never-ending alarm clock, the human spawn. He actually sleeps through the night pretty well. He doesn't wake up very often in the middle of the night. He usually sleeps with us though, so it's a little easier to keep him asleep. If he ever wakes up and starts to get a little bit fussy, we can just put a pacifier in his mouth and he's immediately back to sleep. If he was in the room by himself, I'm sure he would fully wake up and be a little more cranky, but it's a trade-off. We don't want to keep him in the bedroom, but at the same time we like sleeping right now. Alright, so that's nice and clean, like we like it. I need to clean up my connector here. We still have some low melt that's built up on these. So I'm going to get the wick hot here first. This should be enough to pick up whatever's on these. I have to use the tweezers for this. Yeah, use the tweezers instead. That way I can grab the wick with them. I'm also I don't have a piece cut off here, which it helps for thermal conductivity across the wick if you actually cut a piece off of it. Let's see if this works. If it doesn't, yeah, that worked. So I'm just touching the connector and wicking off the excess low melt there. So we'll have to make sure we put plenty of leaded solder in there whenever we solder this back. That low melt will drastically weaken our solder joints, and we don't want that. It really bothers me that this one is still kind of not right. Can't be too picky though, or I'll end up in a bad situation. So we'll make sure all these pins are kind of pulled back. What that's going to do is bring this side forward some, and that way when we solder them, they'll have a decent amount of tension on them. Time for leaded. Good forum to learn stuff. Facebook groups, the introduction to micro soldering. There's plenty of people that do YouTube content. Paul Daniels does. TCRS does. I'm sure several other people in here do stuff. Q-Tech does stuff. If anybody else in here does videos, feel free to post yours. Just say that you do stuff, and people can click on your name on YouTube and they can go to your channel. I have no qualms with anybody coming in and saying, when the people are looking for help on videos, say, well, there's all these options, here's all your choices. Now if you come in here and you start saying, go see this guy sucks, I might get a little offended. But that's fine, personal opinion. I do suck sometimes. So I'm just kind of running the solder over these. And this should be good enough. There should be plenty of solder down in there. This should hold up well. I'm going to clean it off. And we'll flip it over. And I'll just kind of plug it back in and we'll see if it actually charges this time. Or it turns on and says the correct battery percentage this time. I'm not going to connect everything up top. I'm just going to connect the battery and plug in the charge port and see what it says. Okay, Q-tip is saturated. Good to see you, Paul. Appreciate it. Get that money, Paul. Do you have any practice exports? I don't. Most of the exports that we have seen have been for data recovery. We've done 2 successful data recoveries out of the 4 that I've seen. This was before the jig existed and before we knew about the good side of the board could be swapped to the other side of the board. Have not done many X's, period. 4 in total. One of them came in for liquid damage. It was fairly easy. We've had some that were liquid damage that weren't as easy. But I'd love to get the jig and stuff now. I haven't ordered it yet just because I don't see the X very often. Alright, so now when we look down through there, we got some big old giant pins hanging out. Push those and kind of spring them up into place. But those will make good contact. They're a little bit bigger, but they'll still touch and make contact the way we want. iPad frame. I'm just going to sit it in here on top of the battery. And I'm going to hook up the screen. We'll have that separated a little bit. I don't want to touch the battery yet. I don't know how these act without the home button. I think they boot fine without the home button. I'm going to actually put something under the battery connector so it does not touch. Okay, that is good. I'm going to make sure my battery connector is centered on this. Okay. Now I'm going to plug it in. I might have to bring the camera over so you all can see it, but we'll see what it does now. Come here, little fucker. This is difficult to do when the charge port is not screwed down in place. There we go. We're pulling 1 amp. Look at there. We got a battery charging symbol and we're pulling 1 amp. So now our battery is saying, hey, Mr. iPad, I am not charged. I need to charge up before you can turn me on. So we're no longer looping. And the looping was caused strictly because the iPad doesn't know that the battery's charged or not, because there's no data coming back and forth to say, hey, I don't have enough charge to turn on. And so the iPad's just like, okay, battery's not talking, we must be good to go, let's just do it. Alright, so I'm going to order that Flex. We got all our problems solved though. That was pretty cool that we ran into a situation where I could show that repair. It's not very common, but it does happen. Like I said, we had another iPad in here just recently with the same exact issue. Same exact problem, same exact solution. Grab an iPad Air or whatever matches, snag a pin off the connector. I showed you how to grab the pin and pull it out and then put it back into your new slot, and then solder it back in, and you'll have a working iPad again. There are other ways to do that. You can also solder a little lead of wire onto the front of the nub if it's there. That will work too, as long as there's tension pushing it down. But this is a pretty easy fix if you know how to do it. But anyway, it is now 10 o'clock. I need to go home. It's been a long time here today. Thank you all for the compliments. Break time to mod me. Or break time to mod. Q, was it you that was asking? I gotta go to YouTube to do this. Live now. Evidently I'm live right now. Where is the fucking... They move this around the channel stuff. There we go, mod channel. And then YouTube Studio. Actually, I can just go into the stream and do it. It's easier. Oh, we're at 5,500 subs. That's cool. Where's chat? Where you at, chat? I don't see chat. Is chat hidden? Mini player theater mode. I have not been on here in a long time. Where the hell is chat at? Can't see it. I can see it on my other program. You all tell me, how do you bring up chat on this thing? Oh, never mind. I see why. It split my video. There it is. It split my video because it ended earlier. Let's see. Q-Tech. Block. And then I'm just going to make everybody moderator. No, a lot of people that have been here for a while that have helped out. Alright. So I'm going to go home. Thank you all for watching. I know I don't get on as much as I wish I did, but I do want to get on some. 9.7, 10.5, and 10.2 all have the battery FPC Centric sells them for $2 a piece. Well, there you go. Good find there, Anthony. I'm going to have to order that flex piece at the top, Anthony, that I put a hole in. Looks like it goes to one of the proximity sensors. I'll get that from Nashville. I'll contact them tonight and see if they can ship it out tomorrow. And then I'll get this out to you all as soon as I can. Didn't mean to put the hole in it, but it happens. Fix my mistakes. You all won't pay anything for it as far as the cable goes, and I'll get that fixed up and have it shipped out. But that's how it is. You all have a good night, and I will see you all later. Bye.